Now then, let's turn to the business of news. The largest media firm in East Africa has rolled out a paywall, a soft paywall, across its online properties starting today, as it commences the long process of replacing lost revenues from print and broadcast content with money from online subscriptions. Now, annual revenues at Nation Media Group did peak all the way back in 2013 at about 121 or so million US dollars, but they've fallen every successive year since to just over $82 million in 2019. Now, the thing is, it's not that Kenyans are consuming less news. What has changed is the way in which that news is actually being consumed. Consider this data point, for example. In the 5 years to 2019, the volume of English newspapers sold in the country fell by 20%. But the average number of daily visitors to news websites in the country rose by over 80% over the same time. So the trend suggests that demand for news has not changed, but where and how it's consumed is the key change point. But in a market where consumers have been accustomed to not paying for news online, how will Nation Media convert those millions of online consumers into paying clients? That's a question I put to the firm's editorial director, Mutuma Matthew.
I think there is a strong element of faith involved in business and risk-taking. By and large, people are not used to paying for content online. But from what we have seen in other jurisdictions, and from the statistics that we have from early testing, we think that we'll get a critical mass of people who are willing to pay for compelling, good quality, relevant content.
So to what extent then do you expect this transition, at least on the revenue side of it, for the revenue that will come in from subscriptions, from digital ads, to at least offset to a large extent the decline in revenue we've seen from the decline rather in print circulation revenue and print ad revenue?
The print and broadcast side of business is recovering from the effects of last year. The media business in Kenya remains very strong and very profitable. And then on the other hand, even though we are determined to see revenue from the digital side, we know we won't be in a hurry to begin to see digital flows at any meaningful level. But we think that maybe in 2-3 years, maybe that side of the operation will be just as profitable as the other side.
One of the stats that stood out for me when I was looking at the industry statistics, on average, you're looking at around 2.9, maybe 3 million people who visit news websites on a daily basis within the country. If you use that as our starting point, what percentage of that number do you have to convert into paying clients in order to make this operation as profitable as you hope within that 2 to 3 year window you've identified?
There is an industry standard of the rate of conversion, but we have to be careful about that because it depends on the local circumstances. In some markets, it's an average of 1%. In other markets, it's much higher. But let's remember that Kenya is a heavily digital market. In most countries in Africa, and probably in most other parts of the world, people are not used to making mobile payments. But this is digital country. People consume media. People shop. People make payments for rent, for their air tickets, for virtually everything on their mobile devices. So I think it might be a lot easier for us to convert our readers and the rest of our audience into payers because of the ease of mobile payments within the economy.
How many have signed up to date for specifically for the content they would need to access only under Nation Prime?
We fired up the paywall yesterday. I think it's very, very early for us to put figures to some of these things, but our expectations are not very high. But I think we are doing, on average, 2,000 people a day. That might pick up. That may slow down. but we're taking a long-term perspective. If at the end of 2021, we have between 500,000 and 1 million registered users, because when you build that kind of audience and you understand it and you can interact with it, and it becomes a lot easier now to do the subscription, and also it becomes easier for you to serve that audience, not just with content, but also with a certain level of advertising. But if we can register between 500,000 and 1 million users by the end of 2021, and if we have maybe 50,000 to 100,000 subscribers, then we will consider ourselves to have done reasonable.